Work at Channel 7, the ABC station here in town. If you're in town, thanks for watching, and if you're not from in town, thanks for visiting and welcome here to Motor City Comic Con. How about a big welcome to a man we know as Jim Hopper, a man we know as the Red Guardian, a headliner, the headliner here at Motor City Comic Con. Fans, welcome David Harbour to the stage.
Hello? Hey! What's up, Motor City?
David, you've been here before.
Yeah. I really like the Midwest, I have to say. People have built this country. Swedish, German people crossing over to California who just couldn't make it. We're gonna settle down here where it's super cold. We'll lay some railroad, but yeah, it's good stock of people. I like you people. I was here 3 years ago during the pandemic. I shot a movie with Steven Soderbergh called No Sudden Move in Detroit. It's about the car industry, a period piece. And we were doing that like during COVID. And it was kind of cool because Steven had worked on a movie, I forget what that movie is called, but it's about global pandemic. Contagion. Yeah, he'd done Contagion, and so he knew all the guys from the CDC. And they were with us on the production, a couple of them, just to keep like the whole, PPE, to figure out all that stuff. And they were all talking about Pfizer vaccine. They were like, it's coming, it's gonna be 2 shots. It's coming. We were like, really? Okay, maybe this thing will end. I was like, I don't think we'll ever do films again, so thank God. We're through the worst of it and we're back at it.
Absolutely. You were stuck in a hotel though for most of that because of all that. So to be here and to interact with so many people that love your work, what's the weekend been like, man?
It's very lovely. Again, you people are lovely people. You really are. You really are. I don't say that to everyone.
We got a lot of people lined up to take questions, and so we're going to field a lot of those. I know a lot of people are excited, so thank you for your patience. Let's start here. Are we starting in the middle with questions? Great. Please introduce yourself too before you ask the question.
Hi, my name's Jenny. I loved your work on Black Widow. You were hilarious.
Thank you, Jenny.
And I was wondering what it was like to work on that film, knowing that Black Widow's story arc was ending, and also what it was like to work with Florence Pugh because she's amazing.
Yeah, they're all amazing. I mean, I worked on it, it's like Scarlett Johansson, Rachel Weisz, and Florence Pugh. They all have Oscar nominations, if not wins, so I was definitely the worst actor on set, which is a very nice feeling. No, they're lovely. Like, they're just so good, first of all, and they're just lovely people. I think the best actors always, there's a little bit of subconscious play going on. And Rachel and I had to sort of be married and have this complex relationship, so off camera we would hang out in the chairs and talk and like flirt a little bit, and it was like, I was so happy. If you ever get a chance to in character flirt with Rachel Weisz, I highly recommend it. What was the first part of the question?
What was it like working on Black Widow?
Knowing that Scarlett was going to die,
Yeah.
when her character dies. Yeah, it was actually really important. We talked about it early on, and I remember there's a scene, I don't know if it's still fully in the movie, but there was something that I was really trying to craft. In the middle of that movie, Alexei gets locked up, and he thinks he's talking to Rachel's character, I think, but it winds up being Scarlett. Like they're switched with the face replacement thing. And there's a speech that he gives that we kept working on, and some of it's in the movie. It was longer production, but it's sort of hard to fit. But it was something about trying to impart to her this idea that you shouldn't die for a cause. That Alexei sort of lived his life for this communist idea that he ultimately felt very betrayed by when he was put in the gulag, and Russia itself had a certain form of communism that he thought was going to be something different. and it wasn't. And so he sort of conveys to her that you shouldn't die for a cause, but that you should die for other people that you love. This idea, and I think it was partially about that scene with her and Hawkeye, that you have her dying somewhat for a cause, but also somewhat for her friend Hawkeye, who she's loved. And that was a bit of that idea of Budapest, the two of them, that's never quite brought into the movie, but we were very conscious of trying to craft something around that. And I really love that idea of doing a movie with someone who you know is ultimately going to be, you know, dead in like the next movie. It's very interesting to think what their last moments were, their last years.
Thank you for getting this started.
Question.
On those Marvel movies, it's sometimes ambiguous, sometimes almost always vague when they sign you up. And you detail the process of getting the role, where you didn't even know what you were really auditioning for. Is that right?
I didn't audition, sir. I didn't audition, sir.
The role that they wanted.
Yeah, it was a straight offer. I called. I had a meeting with the director. I didn't know who the Red Guardian was in the comics. And also what they've done with him is very, Marvel always sort of takes liberties with these characters. They kind of become their own, which I really like. But I didn't know who the Red Guardian was, but when I was pitched the script by the director, Kate Shortland, that was a brilliant director, by the way, she laid out the whole story for me and what he goes through, and it was, very beautiful, funny. I thought it was an extraordinary character to just introduce Black Widow movie. I kind of couldn't believe it. So I almost didn't care if it was, if he was a superhero or not. He was just such a complex character. It was fantastic.
I'll get that right next time.
All right, light us up. Bragging.
Yeah, don't be mad. Got that going for you. What are you here?
Hi, I'm Willow.
Hi.
I just love Joyce and Hopper both as characters and as the Jopper ship. I think what you and Winona do is very magical. I know you probably can't say anything about season 5 Jopper, but could you just talk about working with Winona a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I do want to let you know in terms of saying things, my life is a nightmare when I talk at all, because I literally say anything. I'll be like, like I said, I was going down to Atlanta in a couple days to start work on Stranger Things. And if there's anyone in the press here, feel free to write clickbait articles to your heart's content about what that means, and what David Harbour intends, and how he's giving away spoilers. I'm like, I don't know what I can say anymore, but I'll tell you exactly what happens with Joyce and Hopper. From the first scene in season 5 to when it ends. Lies. Look, Winona's great, and clearly that relationship is a great relationship. It's become even bigger. I think in season 3 and season 4, it started to really sort of flourish and take the forefront. There are several Hopper things that we want to pay off in season 5, and one of them, of course, is Chopper. And there's also, I'm sure you can imagine, I don't need to tell you, that there are other important relationships that Hopper needs to pay off in the season 5. But, and then, perhaps there'll be some new relationships as well. But definitely, Winona's terrific. She's lovely. She's such a good actress. I mean, that's really my favorite thing. It's like, it's so surprising to work with her. It's so never what you expect, and I always love being surprised. And she's just got such a warm heart, which I think is rare to find, just this beating heart. And so it's going to be great, and we're definitely going to pay it off.
Would you two ever consider working together again on a project after Stranger Things?
I'm here fishing.
Appreciate the questions.
Never. Of course. I love her.
Ingredients. The Duffer Brothers can lower their silencing darts in the back. Let's take another question here.
Hi, I'm Bailey.
Hi, Bailey.
There's like a lot of theories of Mike and Will getting together. So in your eyes,
Mike and who?
Mike and Will.
Oh yeah.
So do you like Mike and Kevin better or Mike and Will better?
I think what's been set up, unless there's a huge turn, I think what's been set up is that Will has an unrequited love for a friend. I think that Mike considers him a good friend, but I don't think it's romantic. but I think he does love Eleven in a romantic way. And so if things continue on that trajectory, you know, I think there's probably a talk in the future between the two of them around that situation. There's some really complex feelings. You know, it's yeah, it's a really interesting storyline. I think that what's fun about it is that we've had to wait for it for a long time, and I really like that. In the beginning, in season 1, Joyce comes into Hopper's office when she asks for him to find him, and she says the kids make fun of him. They call him, I think she uses the F word for gay people. I won't say it, but like they call him, you know, that. And Hopper is like, is he? You know, I think that like Hopper at that point is like such a joke. You know, it's been an interesting journey to sort of see Will's sexuality throughout the years. Like when he's 11 years old or 10 years old, whatever he is in that first season, that there are people making fun of him for this, and then, you know, now he's struggling with his feelings for Mike, and clearly they're unrequited, and he's struggling a lot with that, so we'll have to see where that turns into season 5. But I don't think there's a turn in Mike. Mike's, you know, proclivities seem pretty clear. He seems to love 11 and want to work that out. So I'm sorry for all you, what do you call them? Bi-shippers? I don't know if your ship is going to sail.
Thank you for your question. This show is a sci-fi classic, and will go down and be remembered forever because of that. But the complexities, the human relationships with all of it. When you signed on, did you anticipate that you would have halls like this consistently filled with people asking questions, not just about the plot, but with these characters? Did you feel how deep it was?
I think there's 2 parts to that question. I felt how deep it was in terms of people responding to it. No, I've done a lot of projects where I felt like pretty people complex and people just don't care. So I thought this would be another one of those. I literally, when the show aired, like a month before it aired, we're in like fan company here. I don't know if you guys know a show called The Vampire Diaries. So anyway, Paul Wesley, who's one of the vampires on that show. I haven't seen it, but apparently he's like a vampire on that show. He and I were doing a play in New York, and I'll throw him under the bus here. Stranger Things was gonna come out in like 2 weeks, and I didn't see any ads in New York City, like none on buses or phone booths or whatever. And I was like, what's up? There's no ads on anything. And he was like, oh yeah, they're burying the show. They hate it, they're gonna bury it. I was like, oh no, my one chance to be a lead in a Netflix show, and they hate it. And then it came out, and it was a zeitgeist. And I did not, so I was depressed going into it, thought it was gonna be a nightmare, thought no one would watch it. So it is the most gratifying thing in the world that this little engine that could, like this little thing we were creating in Atlanta that at that point was so small, the budgets were so small, you know, all of us, we weren't famous in any way. The fact that that thing exploded is a big surprise, and I'm very grateful. Yeah.
Well, we're grateful that it brought you success, man, and brought you here. This is awesome.
Thank you.
Let's take another question here, please.
My name is Willow, and did you enjoy the kiss with Winona Ryder in the trailer?
I enjoyed the kiss with Winona Ryder. You're going to get in trouble with people no matter what I say here. I mean, I'll just say this. I'm a very professional person. I take what I do very seriously. And I want to play the character to the fullest of their extent so the audience experiences a catharsis. So in that way, I have to, as Hopper, really, really, really enjoy kissing Joyce. So I did my best to do that on the day.
Do you accept that answer?
Don't you ever ask ask questions like that.
Hi, my name is Shannon.
Hey, Shannon.
I was wondering if you enjoyed your experience in Hellboy.
That's a good question. Let's see. Hellboy was a very interesting experience for me. The one thing I'll tell you that I really, really enjoyed, and I don't think that I don't think we're given enough of it. And I didn't do this certainly. You know, first of all, there's tons of people out there, I will say, that really love that movie. There's a weird cult following of people that love that movie. And universally, it was not well received. So it's funny to speak about it in a certain way. I'll tell you what I loved is we all have these career trajectories, and a lot of things build on each other. And I think there's a lot of people out there that have different views about it. My view has always been that the deeper the risks you take, even when they don't succeed, the greater the success will be later on. And I don't think that you can, as an artist, grow without failure in some sense. And by failure, I mean failure for a large audience. I think the idea of having your own voice is that sometimes people are gonna like it, and sometimes they aren't. And I think it gets more and more difficult in this world to realize that even if you have a voice that people don't like, still it can be a valuable voice. I think we've gotten to this, and at least for me, I feel it like this too big to fail world where you're always steering toward the center as a result of Instagram and all these social medias. Like, what are people gonna like me to say? And my focus always as an artist has been, what is my voice? What do I see as human beings? What do I want to say? And then whether or not people like it, hopefully will be guided by my own impulse as opposed to my pandering to other people. So Hellboy was an experiment in that. I mean, I really, what I liked about it was the relationship between the father and the son, which I feel like is very rich in that relationship. And the other thing that was super cool is working in this monster thing. I mean, a lot of the stuff we started out with that didn't make the final cut was like, you know, I asked questions like, okay, so he's a half demon, right? That means like his larynx and his vocal cords are different than a human being's, right? Like maybe when he pronounces Adnan Rama, it's like got this, we studied like different languages, different ways of speaking and rolling R. We went into all this depth about like the physiognomy of a demon and like what they would, none of this made it. But it was really fun, and you know, I would like dance. I started like dancing and like singing because he's such a huge instrument and I'm not. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. So in a way, I grew so much during that process that I'll always be very grateful for it. And in that way, I had a great time. And then in other ways, it was very difficult. But that's all I need to say about that. I mean, I always look back on stuff and really, you know, remember the strengths more than the failures. Yeah.
Thank you. I read there was a call you made to Ryan Reynolds after that.
Oh wow, you're gonna bring up the failure. All right, here we go. Look at that. Bring it right there. All right.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, no, I'm joking. I mean, but it is funny because I did know, you know, the day before, or maybe the day of it was coming out, I did know it was going to be critically panned. And I still had hope that people might see it, but I sort of figured that people, you know, there was a resentment about it, and I figured people would not go see it. And so I was like, whoa, Stranger Things had been really my big, huge success. You could feel that from people, all the goodwill. And then you do this and you feel like, I mean, I understand, it was the one moment when I understood like David Beckham, where you're like, you have people like rooting for you, and then you make a mistake and people just hate you. I mean, people are just so mad at you. And you're like, huh. So I know that Ryan had gone through his Green Lantern experience, which he makes fun of in Deadpool. He uses it as a, for breathing. But I knew that movie was not what he considered a success. I will say, I think he made a lot more money than my Hellboy, though. So, good for you, Ryan. But I did call him up because, in this business, I have a lot of friendly acquaintances, and we do take care of each other. I mean, one of the things that you feel about on Twitter maybe, or there's some beef out there, but in general, I find that everyone's kind of taking care of each other. A lot of this other stuff is made up. And I called him up and I was like, man, I think I'm gonna have a huge flop. Like, what do you do? How do you walk around New York City when you see all these posters and all these bad reviews? Like, what do you do? And he was like, you're gonna be fine. He's like, he believes in my talent. He was very kind. And he was also like, it's a prosthetic face, so they won't really recognize. They were like, my real head was my face. Yeah, you're right. That's much more tragic than me. That's probably the reason why Deadpool wears a mask, too. Just in case. Just in case.
It's scarred him forever. Oh, literally, yeah, I guess, right. Let's take another question here.
My name is Delson. Was it hard for you to take the role as Hopper in Stranger Things?
Was it hard? Yeah. The first season especially, because, again, I take what I do very seriously, and I tend to, want to dig into places in myself that might be painful, so that if you are feeling something in the world, like you feel like, sad, that if I am very, very sad, that you'll feel less alone as a person. You'll feel like other people feel this, and maybe if they go after, Hopper goes after finding that boy, that it could liberate him. And hopefully in that way, maybe I as an artist show you that if you're sad, if you do something useful, and if you tap into this place in yourself where you can go out and help another person, that if I show you that, it could be very helpful, right? But to be able to do that, I have to actually be very sad. And I think Hopper in that first season is very, very sad. He's drinking a lot, he's taking pills, and he really misses his daughter. And he hasn't really reconciled that as much as in the later seasons. So the first season, when I was shooting it, you sort of take that with you, and I wound up sort of being pretty sad that whole season. Until that last episode when I finally do get to save Will. And you see when I do that CPR, Will wakes up, I take this breath, and I felt like it was the first time I had breathed in like 5 months. When we were shooting it, I felt like this rush of like, I'm alive again. So it was a very difficult experience, but that's what I do. There's people that do things like drive trucks across country. It's a very difficult experience, but they kind of love it. They love, what they do. And I love what I do too, even though it's difficult in a different way, a psychically emotional way.
Thank you for your question.
Yeah, good question.
Here's our next question down here.
Hi, my name is Johnny, and 2 years ago, I asked the actor of Dustin the same question. Would 10 Demodogs be able to beat 2 Demogorgons? And you clearly have more experience fighting them than me.
Would 10 Demodogs kill 2 Demogorgons?
Who do you think would win in a fight? Which one?
Oh man, your math is terrible, man. I know you're trying to hedge it because you're saying like 2 Demogorgons. You don't need to, man. 1 Demogorgon would take out 10 Demodogs in a heartbeat. I mean, that thing is like brutal. You see, in season 4, we really developed it. Season 1, it's still floundering around in a hallway. Season 4, it's like in a gladiatorial arena, climbing the walls and ripping apart 20 guys. So yeah, please, Demodogs, boo.
I'm gonna take that up with Dustin.
What's that?
He said that he thinks the Demodogs will win because there's hours.
Gaten is a moron. from the press out there. I would like that to be the title. David Harbour says, Gaten Mazzarato is a moron. Gaten, I love you. He knows I love you. I saw him just in New York a couple weeks ago at a Rangers game. Sorry to bring up the Rangers, Detroit. Yeah, I know. Whatever, man. There's time. There's time.
That was explicitly on the do not talk.
Sorry, I'm from New York. I'm from Brooklyn.
There you go. Thank you guys for your questions. Appreciate it. We'll keep the fan questions going. I know you guys are waiting patiently, so let's grab the next one, please.
Hello, my name is Kale, and I already got my answer for season 5, but I'm wondering, is there any hint on a season 6, or is that the deadline?
I'm going to disappoint you, probably. Season 5 has been announced to be the last season of Stranger Things. But the beauty of it is there's a real ending. Stranger Things will end in a very real way. And so in that way, you know, Netflix is going to, I'm sure, do spin-offs in various directions, and there's various times. There's a play going on in London. It's young Hopper, Joyce, and there's various ways they can use the storyline. But the storyline of Stranger Things, when we started with the Upside Down in that lab to where we're going in season 5, is one complete story, and it's going to end at the final episode of season 5.
And also, another thing people brought up is at the end of season 4, Will had a bloody nose, and if there's anything you can bring up about that,
I don't know. I mean, what do you think? I mean, what do you think?
50-50 chance, it depends.
He could what?
It's 50-50 chance, it depends.
50 chance of
If he has powers or not.
if he has powers. I don't know, man. You gotta say. I can't even say when we start shooting.
What are you doing? What are you doing tomorrow?
Yeah, right. Nothing.
We should say how you spent your Friday night, and I'll say it for you. In Los Angeles, the man.
Thursday.
Thursday.
Oh yeah. Friday night I was in a hotel here in Detroit with people keeping me up all night.
We're not going to talk about what happened Friday night. You didn't get to go to hotel. No, Thursday night, this man is the keynote speaker, the head of the Box Lunch Feeding America Give Back campaign for the next year. Donated $100,000 of our money, which is pretty remarkable. Pretty cool.
Beautiful charity.
Awesome stuff. Great work. Let's grab another question here, please.
Hi, my name is Jay.
Jay.
Hi. So, I myself, I work at a ASU school for adults, and a lot of my students have special interests. Mine is collecting Happy Meal toys. So I was curious if
Sorry,
you
can
have...
you speak a little bit slower, my brain?
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm very nervous.
That's okay. Take it.
So I work at a school for autistic adults.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of them have special interests. Mine is collecting Happy Meal toys. So I was curious if you have a special interest.
A special interest?
Yeah, like a show, a movie, a toy that you're really obsessed with when you're like 5.
Oh yeah. I go through phases. That's kind of my thing. Like, 2 or 3 months, and I just get really crazy about something, and then I come out and I get crazy about something else. I had been like an armchair scientist for a long time, where like I'd go to Barnes and Noble and get a bunch of books on the brain, and then just like go into a deep dive of like how the brain works, and then I get to some about quantum theory and then like the universe in some way. I do like those, which I consider very positive things. And there are others that are very beloved, but like I play lots of video games. I go into vortexes of World of Warcraft occasionally. There you go. Yes, there you go. All right. My wife loves that. The other thing is, and you know what? I thought that it would be a real surprise, but I feel like a couple of you have already told me that you know what this is. But this is a vortex that I went into that I just love this game. It's an independent video game, kind of an indie game. Does anybody know what my shirt is fan-wise, video game-wise? Does anybody in this audience know? Man with a mask.
That's Binding of Isaac.
Oh man! Bravo. It's a little indie game. You get it on like PS5 for sure, but also like a computer called Binding of Isaac. And it's about a little boy who jumps into the basement because his mom's trying to kill him. Because she thinks he's, you know the story of Isaac in the Bible, where Isaac is the Lamb of God, and they bring him up to a mountain, and his dad's going to kill him, and then God replaces him with a lamb. And anyway, the mom thinks that her son Isaac is the new lamb, and so he jumps into a basement, and then you just go around shooting stuff. And it's adorable, but it's very weird. It's I love that game, so I went into that vortex. So, you know, video games, ideas, stuff like that, I go to all kinds of different stuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I want to ask you about one of my favorite movies in the last couple of years here. Any fans of Violent Night?
That makes me very happy, by the way. I have to say, all you Violent Night weirdos out there. I'll tell you what,
I mean, just a little bit, just to, again, kind of boost you. You just talked about Hellboy, but then Violent Night, man.
Yeah.
Not only was it a good movie, it was a success.
So that was the movie that, like, Hellboy I signed on, I was like, this is a really good idea. And then Violent Night I signed on, I was like, this is a really bad idea. And then it wound up being a great movie. Yeah, man, that movie's funny. Like, I got a pitch from, you know, there was a couple very highbrow projects that were gonna come my way. As one that was like, I don't want to say what it is because other people are doing them now, but like very fancy, you know, limited series period things about like heavily intellectual, historical, you know. And then they were like, and there's also this other thing, which is like Santa Claus, but he kills a lot of people. I was like a real defender of like Christmas. And I was like, what the hell is this? And you know, David Leitch and Tommy Wirkola talked to me about it. And we likened it to, Bob Odenkirk did a movie called Nobody a couple years ago. And then also John Wick, which was like what they created. And I, you know, it was such a weird movie and it was such a risk. Again, I mean, it's this thing where I do hope that when you know, go see David Harbour stuff, people are always like, what's your, you know, thing? And of course I want them all to be good, but I do want to take risks. I mean, I think the real fun in this business nowadays, the fun pocket, is the stuff that's a little bit off kilter and weird, but has heart and humor and all that stuff. I think we're sort of tired of the same old stuff, and we need to see new, novel stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, we took a risk on Violent Night, and we were like, I don't know if this works, and the whole time, but I poured my heart and soul into that thing, and you know, the fact that you guys responded to that was so gratifying, because as I say, it's a risk, and you don't know. I mean, when it's coming out, I was like, this could be terrible. This could be the end of my career. I was like, thank God I still have one more season of Stranger Things. But yeah, I'm just so gratified that you guys loved it, and I want to make more risky movies, and I also know that, you know, Universal really wants a Violent Night sequel. You know, we have to get a lot of things correct in that for me to have it be of the quality that I want it to be. Because it would have to be it would have to be better than the first. It would have to be, you know, it would have to be a brilliant movie. There you go, John Wick Santa. So yeah, I mean, we're working on it. So anyway, thank you for the Violent Night fans out there. Thank you very much. And again, it's just like, you know, it's a movie that came out in the movie theater. I mean, a lot of people see it on digital now or like on DVD, but it came out in the movie theater. People went to the movie theater to see it, and I'm just so grateful when you go out to the movie theater. Even when you don't see my movie, even when you see, you know, other movies out there. I'm just really grateful that people are going to the movie theaters because I love going to the movies, and I love that we're preserving that. So thank you.
It's the best. It is the best. That's a good question.
That's okay. It's nerve-wracking, I get it.
My name's Morgan.
Hi, Morgan.
It's kind of a silly question. So my special interest is Stranger Things mostly.
Okay.
Do you have a show that's your special interest?
An actual show that's special interest. I mean, again, it's like phases. I have comfort shows as well. I think it was like 15 years ago, I was in LA and I was really depressed in the house alone and shooting a bad movie, and I'd watch South Park over and over again. Yeah, just over and over and over again. And then like I do the same with Rick and Morty sometimes. I think that's a genius show. And then like I love White Lotus on HBO.
Yeah.